Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time.
Oh, are we recording? I didn't see the numbers go down.
No, we are. I mean, Kat is still uploading, but no, we are. It literally just started when you started speaking. It's
As soon as you asked, you're just like...
It's because I was reading your description and I'm like, who the fuck is James Owen Furin?
That's a good question. Do you want to make a guess?
No.
The middle one is actually someone we really know well, like the warder from someone we really know well.
Oh, Elias?
No,
No.
it's Elana. It's that warder that is not Maxime.
That's right.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Jem is Van Dien warder, and Furen is one of Seonid warder.
God.
Okay, well, I don't know who they are.
Well,
Yeah, me neither. That's what I was saying. We never knew you and definitely won't remember you either.
Anyway, this is the Queers of Time, and today we decided to do a topic that is near and dear to our hearts.
But first and foremost, thank you to our feral venerator of Thrains.
I'm gonna get there. I was gonna get there.
Okay, sure, go for it.
I was doing it in order.
it's starting
A
great.
topic that we decided to call warders and gender bullshit. And my bullet points here were why warders only boys and why warders subservient / less than. And that's really all we have to talk about. But before we get really started, Camille, we're going to thank our feral venerators of Soiree. Lurks, Charlie, Morshadi, and John. See, I did that. It all worked out in the end.
I'm totally gonna keep all of it.
Anyway, yeah, so warders. Warders are dumb.
Why only boys?
It's not that they're dumb, they just don't have any personality. Who knows the warders?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only warder we get a decent perspective on is Lan, and I guess that other guy that people hate,
Android.
Androl.
Oh, Androl. Oh, yeah. Okay. But that's even then. Like with Androl, it's a bit of a different. It's a unique situation because they're it's a double bonded thing.
Yeah,
And so he is a warder, but
I don't hate Androl as much as everyone else seems to. I think their bond is unique and interesting. But it is for every other warder, Lan included. I like the idea of it. I just don't think it was executed well in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to go further than that.
Yeah.
But we'll find a way.
Yeah. My guess, I mean, if it was like a reversal of the classic, the hero and like the lady to the side, and the lady doesn't really have much of a personality, but her hero is very complex and whatever. I mean, yes, I guess that's a reversal, but I don't think that was intended.
No, and also ideally, I would want in any situation, I want them both to have personality.
Right.
It doesn't have to be either or. We don't have to pick and choose. They can both be well-rounded, properly.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, it's nice that the women matter so much,
Yes.
but it's weird that their warders don't.
Oh god, is this a not all men episode?
Yep. Yep.
Not all men are subservient boys.
As Camille was saying it, I was like, oh god, we're headed into that territory, aren't we?
This was not the intent of this episode. This episode is just about all of the gender bullshit that is within the definition of warders, and or we just not particularly fond of it.
Hashtag male representation.
Apparently.
Yeah, this is where we're at now.
Also, Matt isn't here. We keep forgetting to say that. Matt is on his way to WatCon.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's gonna have a good time.
Hi to everybody there.
Hey.
We're not jealous at all.
No.
No, not even slightly.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand why Warders had to just be very subservient. Like, I get it, but only Moraine and Lan, like, really make use of the bond in a way that it, like, feels like it was intended to originally. I guess Angel and Pavara to a certain degree as well.
Yeah.
Like, they utilize the bond as a tool between the two of them, whereas everyone else is just like, well, I'm fond of my warder, but he's going to die, so fuck him, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like it just always feels so, again, aside from the two examples you gave, the bond always feels so one-dimensional, like in the way that it's developed in the series, which is odd. I always found odd because it's such a cool idea. Like, it's like this kind of idea, there's nothing new about it. There are lots of different different series and whatnot that utilize some kind of bond that's formed between characters where they can kind of feel what the other person is thinking, and there are different variations of it, but I feel like they had the opportunity to do something really cool and explore some really cool themes with this, and it never quite got there, which is unfortunate.
So there's something that I don't remember whether it's a show thing or a book thing, because like in the show, Lan kind of feel what Moraine is feeling and can be cut from her and this kind of thing. Is that also the case in the books? Is there like...
Yeah,
it is.
In the books you can sense like their general emotional state. Like, someone seems angry, someone seems sad. But I don't know if it's like specific, you can know their thoughts. I think you just know their mood.
No.
Yes, the sad part is with Angel and Peva mostly.
I was just gonna say, and it's because of the I keep doing this when I do like double bond.
When the penises touch?
When the penises touch, which is that's not the situation here. But
what am I supposed to do with that when I'm gonna edit the audio without being able to show what Kat is doing with their hands?
Kat was just touching their index fingers together.
I was touching my index fingers together, just
Yeah. That's the universal symbol for double bond.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember what I was saying. I completely lost my train of thought.
You were talking about the double bond with Angel and Peva, and the fact that it allowed them to share their thoughts, which is not something that other worlders can do. I do agree that like the concept of the bond is pretty fun. Like being able to get a general idea of where that other person stands in respect, like, is she confident that this is gonna go well? Are they concerned? Should give like a better understanding between, like, it should be a partnership,
right? And
that should give them strength.
Yeah.
It really feels like it's just a tool for some Aes Sedais.
Yeah,
which it absolutely is. It's especially like there are some who straight up like when I was going through the wiki, there are some Ajas, I think the brown and maybe the white or the gray Aja, that are just like, when they just need them for like research purposes or like in the work that they're doing, they may bond a warder. And I was like, damn. Like that's like, wow, okay.
And I mean, I guess on one hand, I appreciate some parts of that. I appreciate aspects of that because it's like, you don't need like a super buff daddy going out and like defending you. You can get some scrawny warder. But also, I mean, all of the warders are buff daddies because they go through the training. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would just be so bored.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like warders get a lot to do, honestly, unless there's like a fight happening.
Right.
And even then, like Alric died before like Swan even noticed it, and like, what was that? What was that?
Don't even get me started on that.
I think that was like an error in some ways. I don't. That's always been contentious in the fandom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. That is one thing I hope they change. Well, I mean, I don't think we even have him.
I don't think Suan has a warder in the show.
Yeah, I don't think so. Which I'm fine with. I think it actually. I think it works perfectly well, but
I mean, the show is already doing a lot better with respect to warders in the sense that they have personalities, they have traditions. I love seeing like the funeral for Stepin and the ring ceremony when Stepin lost his Aes Sedai. It shows that there's a lot more depth to this what it means to be a warder. Why are they doing that? Why are they giving up their whole life for some women that apparently most of the world cannot stand?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And too, like, when we talk about, like, they seem to be more subservient in the books. Like, they're just kind of there to help the Aes Sedai.
I mean, they're lapdogs in the books, pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, just to compare that to the show, we got that really cool moment with Alana and Maxim and Ivan in episode 7, I think, of season 2, where they're trying to make a decision on what to do when they're in, and they have this sort of, like, silent conversation almost, where it's obvious that it's a decision amongst all of them.
Yeah.
It's not Alana that's making the decision and Ivan and Maxim that have to follow along. It's a collective decision because it is a partnership, which it should be. It should be a partnership. I think that's how it's kind of intended to be. And I mean, I would love to say that Robert Jordan did this intentionally to show, like, yeah, this is the warder bond as it is now, but maybe there's a better way to do it. I don't think that's the intention. Like,
Thinking back to, I think season 2 especially, I'm curious whether in the show, Aes Sedai have different relationship with their warders based on, like, their Aja or something else. Like, for example, for a Green Aja, it makes sense to have a strong connection to your warder because you are risking your life, especially in the show, for something, and you need to trust the other person and to have a bond that is not just magical, but a bond of trust and emotion. But I remember a scene with Sheriam, Elana, and warders. Was it Sheriam? Alana and the warder seems to have as much weight in the discussion with Sheriam, and Sheriam reminded Alana that their warder, like her warder's not going to be there, like, to decide whether Nynaeve should take the test or not. They don't have a voice there. And it felt like, to Sheriam, putting the warders at the same level that the Aes Sedai was not okay, or something like that. I'm curious whether we're going to have other example of that in the show or not.
Yeah, I completely forgotten about that. That's a really good point. It makes sense that Sheriam would feel that way because she is very much like and now granted we know a little bit more about Sheriam, obviously read the books, but she's very much by the books. Like she is, like she follows the rules. And so it makes sense that she would take a very strict view as to what is the role of a warder and where a warder should be and shouldn't be and what they should weigh in on and what they shouldn't weigh in on.
Yeah, I would say that Sheriam is very much a traditionalist. So it makes sense that she would be wary, I guess is the right word. Yeah.
Sheriam just saying that water should be in the kitchen and that's it. Oh no, that's something else.
She thinks of them as children, as like how some people think of children, that they should be seen and not heard, essentially.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, I remember being told that as a kid, like you should be seen and not heard. Which, wow, dehumanizing.
I will say, like, going through the wiki entry, I was very surprised, or I was reminded by all of the, like, abilities that the warder gets, like, and the Aes Sedai gets next to nothing, except for, like, a bodyguard, obviously. But as far as, like, physical things, like, the warder gets greater stamina, physical prowess, a greater capacity to resist evil, can sense shadow spawn, greater resistance to injury. I'm like, those are all, like, superpowers. And yet they're still treated like lapdogs.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, like, the things, it doesn't make sense that the bond, like, there isn't more depth given to it. I don't know. It just...
Right.
And I get it. There's so much that the series covers. There's so much plot to this series. And so, naturally some things are going to kind of fall by the wayside. It's just unfortunate that this is kind of one of them because it feels like it is such an intrinsically important part of the entire story for multiple characters,
Yeah. It's often just like a secondary thing that people think about.
Yeah, and the fact that we don't see much about the bond between an Aes Sedai and a warder also means that when we get to see Elaine bonding Birgitta, Elaine is surprised by something going on with Birgitta. And for a long time, I didn't know whether it was just normal, but she wasn't aware of that, or it's not something that is talked about, or whether that bond was indeed different because Birgitta was a woman, which I'm not fond that.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, that's silly. Because it plays into the idea that women are inherently more quote unquote emotional than men, which is silly. It's silly.
I mean, one of the things that you guys highlighted in chat was like the fact that their menstrual cycles sync up. So,
Yikesers!
I saw that. I was like, why?
Rooney.
Why? Is that the only time where you're going to mention the menstrual cycle? And it's to say that the menstrual cycle of Elaine and Birgitta are syncing up? That doesn't sound okay.
Yeah.
Either you let us have our periods or you don't. But exactly. Not only when it's arranged, like when it's good for, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think so much of the appeal of warders in the fandom is like people, like, you have those traditional males that are just like all about duty and stuff. And I'm like, it's such an outdated concept, I think. But maybe I'm just too progressive and liberal.
No, I think it's the version of duty that society admires and aspires to that's outdated. I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea of duty in and of itself. I think it's just the way that it's presented by mostly, or like, the way that it's presented mostly by men and presented badly in a sort of almost, I don't know, like coddling way, kind of, if that makes sense.
Right. Like, this is the way to be a man, and if you do this, you are good.
Yeah.
I find it funny that we are talking about duty of the warder to the Aes Sedai when we could be talking about devotion. But devotion is not something we usually attribute to men, especially not to serve a woman. But it's basically what the bond represents. It
is basically hopelessly devoted to you. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
By Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, but no, that's exactly right. It is devotion, but like, would people ever call it that? Probably not.
Yeah, but if devotion were in Spanish, it would end in an A. It would be a feminine word.
Oh, absolutely.
Devotion. That's cut that. That was bad.
Just a word in Spanish. I will cut that.
Oh my god.
Devotion? I don't know what's in French.
You don't know what it is in French?
No. Devotion, okay.
You're the French one, though.
And what about it?
I mean, that's fair. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm trying to think of a word in English and I don't know it.
Dedication. It's also how we could describe this.
Yeah, but duty is manly.
Yeah, right?
And there's also like, I think there's a stoic implication that comes with duty as well.
Right.
There's an almost like lack of emotion that's present in duty, which is not like and that's not to say that the core idea of being dutiful or having duty is emotionless. I think it's just the way that it's been, presented there's no emotion that's tied to it. If you're talking about devotion, that's emotional. You know what I mean? Dedication, there's emotion behind that. But if you're talking about duty, it's very much like, and it's also like something you have to do. It's like, you know what I mean? Like there's no...
You don't question it.
Yeah, like there's no choice in it.
It's very military.
Yeah, very militaristic. Very, very.
Yeah.
But I mean, so we talked about, you kind of mentioned it already, Camille, but we talked about one of the few times that we actually see two women bonding. And so maybe we can talk a bit about why James's first point. Why man? Why boy? Why boy only?
Why warders only boys?
Why warders only boys?
Like, honestly, I get that the Reds hate men, or at least some of them, but I'm sure there's some buff ladies that would have loved being a warder.
Yes.
I mean, alternatively, just have like think of a traditionally feminine person that without the ageless face that could sneak in, do like reconnaissance, all of that stuff. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And have her be a warder.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't, it's, I don't understand. I don't get it. I guess because traditionally men are stronger and warder need to be strong. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's very much like, you know, traditional male-female roles trying to be circumvented, but also not really being circumvented.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that it's like by custom only, because if it's a custom that is so reinforced by like thousands of Aes Sedai and thousands of years, then it's basically a law. So like people are like, well, women could have been warders all the time. And I'm like, okay, no, they couldn't have.
They couldn't have. What do you think would have happened if an Aes Sedai, and I'm sure, like, I mean, we don't hear of an example of it in the books. I am positive that someone tried to have it happen at least once in the history of the White Tower.
Oh,
I'm sure it didn't go well.
I'm certain, like, some accepted bonded each other or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Nicola and Arena did. Which is infuriating that it was not mentioned in the books.
I know.
Yeah.
It makes me so sad.
It's like Bella. It's Bella.
It's Bella.
Yeah, and I mean, what I'm thinking about that, we also don't really see women fighting at all. Like, we see the Aiel, and it's kind of like this clan, and it's an exception, and that's it. But, like, is there any woman in Matt's red band? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's basically a bunch of men having to raise a 8-year-old or whatever, or hold these...
Older, yeah, I think he's like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
All I know is he's ugly.
There's no, like, female tower guards.
No.
Woman guard in Cairn or Caemlyn or... So,
That is one of the things that the show did well, was like there were numerous female guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, it's very much, it's obvious that the show is very much taking the, like, no, we're doing this differently. We're gonna fix this, actually. And so it's, I mean, I'm interested to see if we'll actually see female or non-binary warders at some point in the show. Yeah. I would love to see it.
I think the thing, like, the bond is just so intrinsically, by definition, emotional, and yet it's viewed so utilitarian. And those two are such a dichotomy that they don't meld well at all.
Yeah.
There, I summed it up. I summed up the problem with bonds.
You did it. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. And also, like, it's been 10 years since I've read A Memory of Light, but, like, Wayne bonding Leolwyn shipless after Gawain died, like, was that just to have a warder?
I think so. It's because, so Gawain died, Egwene felt like shit. All the Aes Sedai didn't want her to go to the battle anymore, but she still wanted to. So I think she took a warder to have, like, actually, you know, someone that would actually guard her, which is something Gawain never did.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me, like, how quickly she was able to... I'm not saying get over Gawain. I'm saying get over the loss of a warder.
Right.
And you just replace another warder with another warder. And you see that before with Alana, because Alana is grieving a warder, and then Alana, like, bonds Rand. Like, she has her reasons for it and everything, and I get that, but don't tell me it's not, like, an emotional thing that she did.
Oh, absolutely.
Or a utilitarian thing that she did as well. So I guess in that way it does make sense, the warder bond, because it's utilitarian and emotional.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah. Because, that's the thing. Like, it's like you said, Alana definitely had strategic reasons for bonding the Dragon Reborn, for sure. But she was, like, deep in her grief. And I want to preface this by saying Alana did a bad thing. Bad job, Alana. That was a bad thing you did. Consent is important.
We're going to have to talk about that because with warders, consent is such a topic.
Oh, boy. I can't help but feel a little bit of sympathy for Alana because she's, you know what I mean? Like, she was so deep in her grief. I don't know that she would have necessarily made the same decision if the circumstances weren't what they are.
Right.
And that's not to say I'm excusing it, but,
I feel like in the books, it would have been like we would have felt deeper for Alana had we actually seen a warder die and the consequences of that. But all of that happened off screen, like off page.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So hard to feel something for her in that situation.
Yeah, it's true. And that's, I mean, every time we get more bits and pieces into Alana and Maxim and Ivan's life on the show, it makes me really happy. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, this is going to get really sad. It's going to get really sad and really dark. And it's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming up next season. It's
Yep.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fine.
Yep.
Everything is awesome. Do we want to go on to consent?
I was just going to say this. I was literally going to say the same thing.
We are sharing a brain cell.
Exactly.
Or we're vibing on the same...
Same level.
Yeah, because consent with the water, there's so many examples of situations where there's a lack of consent within the water bond. There is Lan's bond being used for sexual assault because, yeah, but it's to make him want to leave again. That sexual assault will always solve that, of course.
There's nothing that puts a pep in your step like sexual assault. Like, what?
What?
Ugh.
I didn't like that sentence at all.
I didn't like it either. I'm not crazy about it either.
This
but
will not be the title of this episode.
No, it can't be.
Because that will get us cancelled.
It can't be.
For real.
I beg you, do not make it the title.
Yeah, not like when a Matt's canceled. It'll get us actually canceled.
Actually canceled.
I would cancel us, okay?
Yes. Oh, boy.
So we got Alana with Rand, which the fandom love talking about. We have everything regarding the Ashaman and the Aes Sedai regarding that.
Oh.
Right. It's not like this isn't a situation where two wrongs make a right. This is just two wrongs are still two wrongs. But yeah, the idea that the order bond enables an Ashaman to compel a woman more than a woman that bonds a man can influence him.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's unnecessary.
But I think it's still based on the women are more emotional, so of course they're going to be more influenceable. And I hate that.
Yeah.
I just figured it was built into the world, like the mechanics, because Robert Jordan thought so much about the mechanics. Like, you know, you can have a circle X big, but you have to insert another man to have another, I assume this was very purposeful. And I don't think it was just emotion, honestly. I think it was more just like, well, it makes sense to him that women would be able to be influenced more because men are stronger.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he made that because women are more emotional. I'm saying he made that in his world because to him it makes sense, but why did it make sense to him?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Internal misogyny.
Yeah. At the root of this all, like, is misogyny. That's what's at the root of this. And it's unfortunately what's at the root of a lot of shit. And you know, it's not saying that we're not saying that Robert Jordan was misogynistic necessarily. Like, that's not at all what we're saying. It's just there are unfortunately lots of viewpoints that are based in misogyny and also based in racism. This is the hellscape that we live in.
Yeah, we all have our internal biases. Some of them are easier to face than others. And I mean, we can keep educating ourselves. There's still going to be some things that we need to learn. And that's kind of how the world works. As long as the whole society is having biases about certain category of people, we will be influenced by that. And
yeah.
Yep.
No, and I mean, I understand some of this as it being a product of its time, but this doesn't feel like one of those things. This feels like a purposeful world building choice, which is very ick.
Yeah. It's, I mean, am I remembering, I might be remembering this wrong. Wasn't there one case where they essentially make one of the Aes Sedai or a couple of the Aes Sedai orgasm against their will?
Oh, yes!
Am I remembering that right?
When they're bonding, yes, there's something about when, I think it's when Logain bonded an Aes Sedai that she had an orgasm or something like that. I definitely remember something on that length, and I do not like that.
I completely blocked that out of my mind.
Yeah. And honestly, so whenever I understand that people like Logain as a character, I understand that he is interesting. In that moment, I was like, I don't fuck with this man at all. I will never trust this man. I will never like him again.
Was it purposeful?
This is so gross.
No, I'm genuine. Like, I didn't know if
I think so from the way that he reacted, it was like, ha ha ha.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was like just part of the overwhelming emotion of the bond that caused it to, like, are we mad at RJ or are we mad at Logain?
It was an intentional thing.
And the answer can be both.
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah. Again, ¿por qué no los dos?
There's some very icky thing with everything regarding the Black Tower. And also, like, apparently, like, the Ashamen discovered their own version of the bond that is different from the version of the bond from the Aes Sedai. And that version was a lot more sexual in a way.
And it involved, like, even less consent.
Yeah.
Like, across the board, like, at least with the Aes Sedai, they get consent for the most part, for largely, by and large, to have a warder, like, become their warder. Like, they don't force bond people. Whereas with the Ashamen, like, it seems like it's force bonding most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's real bad.
Shit's bad, yo.
It's real bad. Shit's bad, yo.
I mean, there's a few Ashamen that bonded their wife.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that's, like, I mean, that's okay in a way. And
that's fine.
They were doing that because they had to live abroad away. And it was a way for them to keep track of how their wife were going, which also does feel a little bit creepy, but I mean...
It's just location sharing.
I was going to say it's location.
But I vaguely remember also, like, Ashamen who forcefully bonded Aes Sedai to then have sex with them without, like, forcing them to that when they were resisting them.
Again, totally blocked that out of my mind.
Yep. It's bad.
Because I love this series.
So, Logain, I'm pretty sure he bonded 2 women.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and there's one of them that is basically moving on to, I'm totally going to have sex with him so I can influence him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I hate that even more.
I hate this. I hate everything about this. I hate this so much. Yeah. It's like, I mean, pick a problematic thing. It's littered with problematic things. Once the Ashamen start bonding Aes Sedai and Aes Sedai, it becomes even more clear how badly treated the bond is in this series.
Well, with the Aes Sedai or with the Ashamen, don't they have to kiss someone to bond them?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember now. That is possible.
I remember that's one thing with Logain is, like, he was like, forgive me, this is how we were taught to do it or something.
Ugh.
Ooh, maybe.
Oh, gross. It might be.
Gosh, there's so many of those things that I actually don't remember much.
Oh, no. I'm like, I need to know. It's for my own sanity, I need to know.
It looks like that's what Logain said.
Ooh, extra bit.
Sometime before departure, Logain bonded 2 Aes Sedai, Tovann from the Red Aja and Gabriel from the Brown Aja.
Oh, ew.
Gabriel tries to manipulate him using sex, making Tovann quite uncomfortable. I actually don't remember whether he abuses her or if it's something else. What are you reading that's making you go, ew?
A Knife of Dreams book tour from 2005. Question: how is the bond the Ashamen use different than the warder bond of the Aes Sedai? Jordan: The bond is different because it contains the extra bit about obedience. Aes Sedai bound to Ashaman are compelled to comply with the demands of the men. While Aes Sedai can do this to their warders, it requires work each time.
I hate everything about this. I hate this so much. I hate it so much. Oh, yuck. Yuck. I'm just reading the wiki. When Tovanne Gazelle's task to capture and gentle the entire Black Tower is disrupted, she and most of her fellow sisters are bonded by full Ashaman in a manner very similar to the wife bond. Curiously, the reaction to the bond that so it's a reaction to the bond that Tovanne experiences appears to be very similar to a female orgasm. This is not the extra bit. Oh, okay, that is after.
Yeah, some people are like confused, or some people are saying it's just a kiss. Some people are saying it's an orgasm. It's on the bonding page for the Wikipedia. Orgasm. Control F. Come on. When Tovia's... that's what you were just reading.
That's what I was reading. Yeah. So the extra bit... So what is the extra bit? This is not the extra bit, however. Instead, the bond used with the Aes Sedai allows the Ashaman to require... Okay, so yeah, the extra bit is the obedience. To require obedience from their bonded sisters. So that's the extra bit. But it doesn't say anything about how it needs to be done. So it sounds like... And, I believe that this is something that the kissing part was in the book. I do believe that. And so is it possible that they were just like, this is how we have to do it. This is how we do it. And then that's just how they do it. That's just like they were told this is how they have to do it. And so that becomes how they do it.
Yeah, I think from what I'm reading on like Reddit and stuff, which I know is super
reliable,
yes, that's the word. Yeah. All Ashaman have to kiss who they want to bond because the guy that invented the weave did it by kissing his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then they all learned from him. Like, how did they learn from him? Did they all kiss him?
They just did some kissing? Which, fine, good for you. How
much tongue do you have to use?
Good lord.
Like, what happens if you use too much tongue? What happens if you don't use tongue at all? Is it just, like, what kind of kiss?
Yeah.
What happens if you use too much tongue? Title of the episode, maybe?
That could be a good one.
Yeah, so anyway, warders...
It's a mess.
Yeah.
A mess. Save us, Rafe. Please save us.
I had 4 points, and I think we all went through them. My 4 point was Red should have female warders at least. Mm-hmm. The fuck is going on with Birgitta? Mm-hmm. Consent, what consent? Why are they so bland in the books? Where is their personality?
Yeah.
We went through all of those.
I found the quote from the book, and it does say, like, Logain says, "My apologies, sister, but this is how we learned to do it," and then he kissed her.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Hey, he apologizes.
That fixes everything.
What other weave requires that kind of physical component? I mean, I guess if you count, like, moving your hands and stuff, like, that's how they learned to do it in the tower, I guess. Mm-hmm. But what weave requires a physical interaction from another person? Mm-hmm. None of them.
Yeah, none of them.
So This one's special because it's a little bit rapey, and that's fun.
Yeah. And so, like, and also, how unbelievably stupid are those Ashaman? To think, like, okay, well, this one guy did it by kissing his wife, and so that's how we all have to do it. That's how we learn, right? It's the only way it could work? Do you have no other critical thinking skills? To think, like, hey, maybe, let's try another way, and see if it could work any other way. Almost any other way than this.
As we said before, where is their personality? Why would they have critical skill in that case?
Oh my god.
Oh no, that's the warders. The warder are without personality.
Well,
I mean, the Ashaman are not much better.
Yeah, no one has critical thinking skills in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, true.
Critical thinking skills in my Wheel of Time?
Yeah.
So do we have anything else to say about the whole warders of it all?
I think it was a great concept that was executed very poorly.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
I'm very curious about how the show is going to keep deepening this relationship, this bond. Mm-hmm. I love what they're doing so far with it. I am very curious what's going to happen next with respect to Lan and Moraine, Alan and her warders, Will we have a Birgitta thing going on with Elaine or not? Mm-hmm. Is that going to be like the first female warder we will see, or we will get to see other like women as warders before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait. Once again, save us, Rafe Judkins, please.
Please. Well, on this.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of The Queers of Time. We're so happy that you could listen. If you'd like to support us, we have a Patreon. It is there, and you get behind the scenes stuff and also advanced access and whatever else. Also a sticker. I have the stickers now. I found them from when I packed them at JordanCon.
Yay!
So I am going to start getting the stickers sent out to people that have like backed us in the past year. Because I haven't done that. And also we're on a Discord. If you want to join our Discord, that's where we're the most active. We're also on Twitter and that other place, Blue Sky.
And Tumblr.
And Tumblr sometimes. But yeah, thank you for listening to the 99th episode of The Queers of Time.
Oh my god, it's 99. We are so close.
9. Well, bye.
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 Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.